Expert series. Today we have Dani Revell, founder of NZ Blog Collective, and we are Anthology to answer your burning questions on blogging. Hi, Dani.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Well, my pleasure, and thank you too. Okay, let's just dive into the questions. Now, just a generic one. So what's the state of the blogosphere in New Zealand at the moment?
Currently, I'd say it's where Australia was about 3 to 5 years ago. It's definitely reaching a tipping point, and it's starting to tip into the commercialised professional area a lot more than it has been in the past. Brands are really understanding the power of bloggers and influencers, and it's not such a hard sell to get people to work with them, which is fantastic.
Awesome. Okay, in terms of state, I'm actually curious, are there more fashion bloggers? Are there more food bloggers?
I'd say that there's a fashion and beauty, parenting, lifestyle, definitely the bigger verticals that we work with. But there's bloggers who cover all sorts of genres and categories in New Zealand, technology, really niche, outdoor adventure blogs where people might only talk about the type of, activewear to wear on hiking expeditions and that sort of thing. So while there's probably about 15 to 20 main verticals that we work with, underneath that, there's hundreds more.
Okay, awesome. So let's go to brands and bloggers. Okay, so how do they, brands and bloggers work together in a commercial sense?
In a commercial sense, well, the first thing is the blogger obviously has to want to commercialise their blog, which they don't have to do if they don't want to. If anybody's ever contacted by a blogger outreach consultant, and they're not up for it, the first thing they should do is write back no. We never want to pressure anybody to write about a product or service that they don't really believe in. Once they're at a stage where they have an audience that they can promote to and they're ready to commercialise their blog, typically they'll approach an agency like we are, Anthology. We'll kind of have them on our books, and then we will be in touch with the brands, or the brands will be in touch with us. Goes both ways, and we will then consult with the bloggers and get the content created for the brand. There are times when the brand comes to us and says, help, we have no idea what we want, and there are times when the brand comes to us and says, this is exactly what we want, these are the type of bloggers that we are after, go and find them. So, like anything, every project's different, and it depends what the brand is after for what service any outreach consultancy will provide.
Maybe can you, based on your experience dealing with both the client side and the brands or the blogger and the bloggers, I should say, one or two challenges?
Time. Brands don't often understand how long it takes to craft a blog post. A lot of time they say, great, we want 1,000 bloggers to write about something next week. Oh, and we also want to pay them each $1 to do it, which falls into the second biggest challenge is the money. The way that we work is we do not work with any influencers or bloggers for free. We work with brands that pay us for a service, and they pay the influencers and the bloggers for a service. When you're paying a blogger, you're paying them to write the content for you, so you're essentially paying them an hourly wage. Second of all, you're paying to them to access their audience with your message, whether that's a message that you've crafted or a message that they've crafted about your product or service. And then third, usually what we try to do is we get that amplified on social media through boosting or advertising for that extra kick. I think the days of free Facebook, we've all admitted, are gone. The days of free blogging is gone.
Gotcha. Okay, so with your clients, what do they actually look for so that maybe, when engaging a blogger for a campaign?
Yeah. So like I said earlier, depends what they're after. A lot of clients come to us and say, we want this, and they walk away with something different. The way I try to explain it to all my clients is that you really need to bring it back down and find out what it is that you're trying to do. What is the core objective of your strategy? So do you want to educate the public on a new product or service? Do you want to inform them? Do you want to entertain them? Do you want to grow your social media following on Facebook or on Instagram? And depending on what the outcome is of the strategy, what you're trying to achieve, depends on what type of blogger we're going to get. If you're only after if you have a smaller budget and you're after a bit of a boom, we might use influencers and bloggers purely in a social media perspective. If you're after, getting your website up the Google rankings, well, of course, we're going to get them to write blog posts for the linking and all that sort of stuff. So depending on what you want, depending on what you get. So usually they'll come to me, like I said, ask a question and I'll give them a different answer.
Okay, let's go to the blogger side. I mean, if I was, new to this and I want to commercialize, so to speak, and ready to go, what should I do to make sure that clients would notice me, or maybe you get to use my blog for your campaigns?
Yeah. I know that we all shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but we all do. So the first thing is have a great looking website. A brand is only going to want to promote their product on a website that is up to date, that is relevant, and that has regular content coming through it. Second of all, be proactive. I actually got an email in my account 2 days ago from probably second tier blogger in New Zealand, and it said, "Hey, PR update. Check me out. Here's my updated media kit. If you can't be bothered for the small talk and for reading everything else, just click here. If you are really interested, here's an example of a great post that I did recently. I've consulted my audience and I found out that 2/3 of my readers actually read my have bought products and services after reading my blog post. That's some serious, influencing, purchasing power. Aren't I awesome?" When that popped into my inbox, I was blown away. There are hundreds and thousands of blogs in New Zealand, and while there's a few of us now, we are Anthology, we can't be combing every single one, and you might have a real big spike in traffic. You might double your numbers or triple your numbers within a couple of months, and if we're not up to date with that, we might not contact you for a campaign. So it's about you being proactive and contacting us as well.
Awesome. Last question. So how does actually blogging and social media work?
Blogging and social media are more and more becoming not the same thing, but hand in hand. It's like anything. You write a blog post, and unless you've got 1,000 people signed up to the RSS feed, and they know to come and see you every Monday at 12 when you release that new blog post, you're going to have to promote it. So it's really important that bloggers these days have a really strong social media presence that will allow them to promote the blog post that they've written, but also use their social communities for social commercialization opportunities rather than, a fully integrated thing as well.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time, Dani. And of course, this isn't going to be the only video interview we're going to have. So for those who's watching this video, there are comments box obviously at the bottom of this, thank you, of this post. And ask more burning questions for Dani to answer in our next, of course, ongoing series. This is Jam Mayer, of course, the host of the Answered by Experts series.
Thank you.